Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Knitting for Baby. Thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to knit this little jacket for a baby girl between 6 and 9 months old. Now, the technique that I used to make this little jacket is I crochet the yoke and then the rest I knit using the garter stitch. It's a very easy stitch, so you will need to know how to do some basic crochet stitches. Okay, so I hope you like it, and without further ado, let's get started. And thank you for watching. Okay, to begin, I'll be using this 4mm crochet hook, and today I'm using 2 strands of this cotton yarn. I'm using this brand. This here is the color. It's K1767. This is like a very, very pale lilac color. So I'm going to go ahead and use 2 strands, and I went ahead and did my own little cake here. So here, to begin, I have 53 chains. This chain here measures about 30.5 centimeters, which is about 12 inches. Okay, so to begin, into the second chain from the hook, this one here, I'm going to make a single crochet. Single crochet into the next chain, single crochet into the next chain, and so on. For this first row, this is all I'm going to do, just single crochets. I'll meet you here at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this first row. I have 52 single crochets. Now for the second row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Here we're going to make single crochets on each one of these single crochets. So into the first one I did a single crochet, into the second a single crochet, and so on. Here this is all we're going to do, so continue like this, and I'll meet you at the end of this second row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of the second row. I have 52 single crochets. Now for the third row, we're going to chain 3. We're going to turn. Now here in this row, we're going to make V-stitches. We're going to skip the first single crochet, and into the second, I'm going to make a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the same stitch. Now again, skip 1 single crochet, and into the second, make another V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Okay, this is all I'm going to do for this row. I'm going to skip 1 single crochet, and into the next make another V-stitch. Continue like this for this third row. I'll meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this third row. I have 25 V-stitches. Now to finish, we're going to make a double crochet here at the end. And this is how we finish the third row. Now for the fourth row, we're going to chain 3 again. We're going to turn, and inside each one of these V-stitches, we're also going to make V-stitches. So make a double crochet, 2 chains, double crochet. So these V-stitches are going to have 2 chains instead of 1. Again, inside the next, make a double crochet, 2 chains, double crochet. Continue like this for this fourth row. I'll meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this fourth row. I have 25 V-stitches again. Now to finish, we're going to pinch this third chain at the end here and make a double crochet. This is how we finish this row. Now for the fifth row, we're going to chain 3 again and turn. Inside each one of these V-stitches, we're going to make fans. So make 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Again, inside the next V-stitch, do the same thing, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Continue like this, and I'll meet you at the end of this row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this fifth row. Now to finish, go on top of the third chain up here and make a double crochet. And this is how we finish this fifth row. Now for the sixth row, chain 3, turn. Now inside each one of these fans here, we're going to make V-stitches. So we're going to make double crochet, 2 chains, double crochet. Jump to the next fan and do the same thing, double crochet, 2 chains, double crochet. Continue like this for this sixth row. I'll meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this 6th row where we did V stitches. So here to finish, go on top of the last chain here at the end and make a double crochet. And this is how we finish this row. Now for the 7th row, you're going to chain 3 and turn, and inside each one of these V stitches, you're going to make 5 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jump to the next V-stitch and do the same thing. Continue like this. I'll meet you at the end of this row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this 7th row. Now to finish, insert your hook here into this last chain here at the end and make a double crochet. This is how we finish this row. Now for the 8th row, chain 3, turn. In this row, what we're going to do are double crochets all around. So beginning into the 2nd double crochet, make a double crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and so on. This is all we're going to do for this row, so continue like this and I'll meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this 8th row. Now to finish, we're going to make one last double crochet here at the end, right on top of this 3 chains there. Okay, now I'm going to cut my yarn, which I already did. I'm going to pass my yarn through this last loop, and this row here is done. Now I have a total of 127 double crochets, including the 3 chains here at the beginning. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is going to be a combination of crochet and knitting. So now what I'm going to do is, this is where we just finished, so we're going to turn this over and we're going to go here on this side. And using this crochet hook, I'm going to insert it and into this first stitch here, and I'm just going to start or grab this first stitch with the crochet hook because it's kind of hard with the first stitch. And with these 4mm knitting needles, I'm using some circular knitting needles here because it's going to be easier since we're going to have a lot of stitches. So I already have my first stitch. Now we're going to do the same thing on each one of the double crochets that we worked from the previous row. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. This is all we're going to do for this first row, like this. Just pick up stitches along the very edge here, and I'll meet you once this part here is done to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished doing this part and I have a total of 127 stitches on my knitting needles. So now to do the first row, what we're going to do is this first stitch here, I'm going to knit. The next stitch I'm also going to knit, and each one of these stitches I'm going to knit like this. This is all I'm going to do for this first row, so continue like this and I'll meet you at the end of this row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this first row. Now this last stitch right here, we're always going to purl. Okay, like this. Now this is how we finish this first row. Now for the second row, we're going to turn, and here what we're going to do now is the first stitch I'm going to slip like this. Okay, so now here what we're going to do is we're going to knit each one of these stitches like this. So continue like this all the way to the end. The last stitch, remember, we're going to purl. So continue like this and I'll meet you at the end of this second row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished the second row. I purled the last stitch. Now we're going to turn, and here we're going to repeat the last 2 rows. So for row 3 and 4, we're going to do the same thing we did on the first and second row. So here we're going to slip the first stitch, then we're going to knit each one of these stitches all the way to the very end, where the last stitch we are going to purl, and then we're going to turn, and then again slip the first stitch and then knit all the way to the end where we purl the last stitch as well. So finish this third row, then continue on with the fourth row, and I'll meet you at the end of the fourth row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished the fourth row. So now for the fifth row here, we're going to repeat the same thing we did on rows 3 and 4, which is slip the first stitch, knit every single one of these stitches like this, except for the last one where you purl, then turn, slip the first stitch, and then knit every single one of the stitches all across except for the last one, which you purl. So finish this 5th row and then turn back for the 6th, and I'll meet you at the end of the 6th row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm halfway done with the 6th row. This is the back. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra stitch because in the next row, I'm going to divide the sleeves and I want an even number of stitches. Since I only have 127, I'm going to add one extra stitch so that I have 128 stitches. It makes it easier for me to divide the sleeves with an even number of stitches. So here, what I'm going to do is I have knit 63 stitches, so this is like right in the middle. So right here between this stitch and this stitch, we're going to pick up this stitch like this, put it on the needle, and we're going to knit this stitch through the back loop like this. And that's all there is. And now I'm just going to continue and finish this 6th row. So I'll meet you at the end of this row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished the 6th row. Remember, the last stitch we always purl, and in this row we finished with 128 stitches since we added an extra stitch halfway through, which I showed you how to do. Okay, so now for the 7th row we're going to divide our sleeves, and here I have placed my stitch markers. Here I have 19 stitches. Between this stitch marker and the next I have 26. Between this stitch marker and this one here, this is the back, I have 38, and between this stitch marker and the next I have 26, and then between here and the end I have 19. So we have 19, 19, 26, and 26, and 38 for the back. That's how we're going to divide the sleeve. So here, what we're going to do is I'm going to slip the first stitch, and I'm going to knit these 19 stitches. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, we have 19 stitches here. So now I'm going to remove this stitch marker, and here I have this needle and some yarn, and we're going to remove these 26 stitches. So we're going to just slip them through like this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 stitches. Okay, we're going to leave these stitches here alone, and I'm going to put the stitch marker so that I know which direction I pull my stitches from. That way when I come back and do this part, they're not twisted. Okay, so here we're going to tie them here like this. Going to cut my yarn and just tie a knot here, and we're going to do the sleeves last. So there they are. Okay, so now we're going to add stitches under the sleeve. So here I'm going to add 8 extra stitches. So to do that, we're just going to do this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Now we're going to continue and knit these 38 stitches. Okay, so we added 8 and now we're going to continue and knit these 38 stitches like this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Continue and finish these 38 stitches, and I'll meet you right here again to show you how we're going to separate the other sleeve. Okay, I finished knitting these 38 stitches for the back, so now again we're going to remove the next 26 stitches. So I'm just going to pass them through this needle like this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Perfect. Now again, I'm going to leave the stitch marker there just so that I know which direction my stitches are in. You don't have to do that. Okay, so here, I'm going to cut my yarn and tie these stitches here. And we're going to do the sleeves last. Now here again, we need to add 8 stitches under the sleeve, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. And now we're going to finish knitting these last 19 stitches like this. So continue and finish this 7th row, and I'll meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm at the end of the 7th row. In this row, I have a total of 76 stitches. We have 19 plus 19 plus 38 here. So that's 76 stitches, and then we added 8 stitches under each sleeve. Also, don't forget to purl the last stitch there. Okay, so now for row 8, we're going to knit across. So let me show you this first part. The first stitch we always slip, and then we're going to knit these 19 stitches, or actually 18, because this one here I've already slipped. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then we have the 8 stitches we added. So these we're also going to knit. That's 1. Trying to grab both loops here since I'm using 2 strands. That's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more. 8. And now here we're just going to continue with this back part and then do the other side. I'm not going to show you that part because it's the same just like we did here. So continue and finish this 8th row, and I'll meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished this 8th row. In this 8th row, we should have a total of 92 stitches. Remember, we had 76, but then we added 8 on each side, so that's 92 stitches. Okay, so now from here on, you're just going to repeat these 2 rows where we knit each one of the stitches, except for the last one where we purl and we always slip the first stitch. So you're going to repeat these rows here. I'm not exactly sure how many rows I'm going to do. So here, after I do this first stitch where I slip the stitch, I'm going to add a stitch marker. This is marking the 2nd row, or actually you can really see here we have 2, 4, 6, and this is the 8th if we count from the beginning. So here for the 9th row, you're just going to continue. Remember, slip the first stitch and knit each one of these stitches all the way to the end except the last one, which you purl always, and then turn and then slip the first stitch and knit across, except for the last one where you're going to purl. And that's all you're going to do back and forth. And like I said, I'm not exactly sure how many rows I'm going to do, but continue like this and I'll meet you at the end of this row to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I did a total of 66 rows, so I'm counting from here, this part here. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 66 rows. So now what we're going to do in this next row is we're going to cast off our stitches. So we're going to close this part down here. You can make this part a bit longer if you like. As it is, let's see, it's measuring. Let me see. From the top of the neckline down to the end, it's about, let's see, 31 centimeters. It's about 30 centimeters. Okay, so now here we're going to cast off these stitches here. So to do that, it's very easy. The first stitch we're going to slip through. The next stitch we're going to knit. The stitch that we slipped, we're going to pass it over the second stitch like this. Next one we're going to knit. We're going to pass this first stitch over the second, knit the next stitch, pass this stitch over the second, knit the next stitch, and then pass the stitch over the second. And this is all I'm going to do all the way to the other end. So continue like this and I'll meet you there to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished binding off all my stitches here at the bottom. Here at the end, all I did was just pass my yarn through that last loop, and this part here is done. We're going to hide our ends after everything is done. So now, I went ahead and did one of the sleeves, this one here. So we're going to do the exact same thing I did here on this side. I'm going to keep this little sweater basic and simple. So to do this other sleeve here, I'm going to use these 4mm circular knitting needles. I recommend that you do the same thing because you're going to have a hard time using the straight needles doing this part here because we don't have that many stitches and they tend to stretch, and we don't want to stretch this part here too much. Okay, so to begin, I've went ahead and then untied my my stitches here, and I had my stitch marker here on this end, so that means that I'm going to pick up my stitches going this way so that I start on this end knitting the next row. So here, to do this part, what I'm going to do is we're going to find the center of these 8 stitches. So remember, we did 8 extra stitches here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So into the 4th stitch, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. I want to make sure I have 4 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Here we're going to pick up some stitches. So using the same yarn, and I'm going to help the first stitch with this crochet hook. I'm going to bring this loop through the front like this. Put your needle into that loop and then pick up these next 3 stitches. That's 2, 3, and 4. Let's see if I have 4 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Okay. Now, here between this first stitch and this part here, I'm going to pick up 2 stitches. This is so that there is no gap once this part here is closed, so that it stays like this. Now, it's going to be a little tricky. Your stitch placement might be different than mine, but I'm going to try to do it right here so that this part here isn't too open. See, I think that'll work. And then between this next one, another 2. Let's see. Yes, I think that'll work. Now, we're going to leave these stitches here alone, and with this other end, I'm going to go around and pick up my stitches. These are the stitches that are on hold here, like this. So I'm just going to transfer them to this needle. So I'm going to do this off camera. This is all you're going to do. So I'll meet you once I have them all on my needle, and I'll meet you right here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I went ahead and picked up my 26 stitches there on this needle. Remember, we went this way down to this end. Now, this is where we have these 6 stitches, 2, 4, 6. Now, we're going to start knitting these 26 stitches here. So this is where it's kind of difficult to knit these stitches because there isn't much room here. So all you're going to do here is we're going to knit these 26 stitches. So like this. Let's see, that's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay, so we knitted these 26 stitches plus the 6 that we had here, so that's 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 stitches. Okay, now I'm going to pull my needle like this, so we have these stitches here as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is we need to pick up 6 stitches on this other side as well. So to do that, we're going to go here under the sleeve, and this side is going to be a bit trickier because between here and here is where we need to pick up only 2 stitches because the other 4 are right here. So just look at your sleeve and see if there's a big gap. I see one here, so I'm going to pick up a stitch there, and the other one I'm going to go here like this. I think that looks pretty good. So I picked up my 2 stitches there, and into these next 4, which are part of the 8 that we added, I'm going to pick up 1 stitch as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there we have it. We have 2, 4, 6 stitches here along this part now. So if we add up all of these stitches, you should have a total of 38 stitches. We had 26 plus 6 plus 6, that's 38 stitches. Now here, what we're going to do is you can either work this in the round using the magic loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this in rows. So I'm going to go back and forth, just knitting each one of the stitches for one row, then come back and knit the other stitch, just like we did here for this part. So here we have our stitches. So since these are circular needles, we're going to have to somehow open them up like this, or give us room to do this, and put all your stitches back into the needle here. Here, I'm going to get this needle and here, so that this part here is easier to seam once it's done. I'm going to always knit the first stitch like this. See, I'm going to knit this stitch here, knit the next, and so on. This is all I'm going to do all around. So let me show you how you transition from one side to the other, since we had to split our stitches here in half. Once you have more rows, then you can switch to just your normal straight needles if it's easier for you. But right now, since there isn't much room, these are better to use. Okay, so that's my last stitch. Now we're going to turn here. Now to work these stitches here on this other side, you're just going to push your needle like this and then pull this one. Make sure that your yarn is under like this, under the needle, not over it, because then we're going to create a different stitch. And then you're just going to continue and knit each one of these stitches all the way to the very end. I will meet you here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end. I just need to knit this last stitch here. We're going to always knit the last stitch, and we're always going to knit the first stitch. This is so that it's easier for us to seam the sleeve once we're done. So now to work the next row, we're going to just turn this like this, and we're going to work our way around again. Here you're just going to knit the first stitch, like I said, like this, and then knit the next, and so on. You're going to do this for about 45 rows, and then we're going to switch to a 3.5 millimeter knitting needles. This is to start shaping the cuff, and then we're going to finish with 7 rows of knit 1, purl 1, just like this, like this. So here you're just going to continue and finish this row. Just going to show you again how to transition to the other stitches. I'm going to finish this here. Make sure that you always knit each row to create our garter stitch pattern. Now let go of that needle, push your needle like this. Once we have enough room here under the sleeve, we can put all of our stitches into one needle. This is only for now because we don't have much room here for all the stitches to fit into one needle. So once we have more room here, it'll be a lot easier. So we're going to grab this needle and we're going to go to this side and work our stitches. And then just start knitting this side here, like this. And this is all we're going to do. Okay, so continue like this, and I'll meet you at the end of the 44th row to show you the next 2 rows. That's where we're going to switch to the 3.5mm knitting needles. And then with the same needles, we're going to do the cuff, which is 7 rows of knit 1, purl 1. So I'm at the end here. Let go of this needle, turn, put your yarn under, knit the first stitch, and repeat. And that's all we're going to do. So I'll meet you at the end of the 44th row. Okay, I'm here at the end of the 44th row. So now what we're going to do is for the next 2 rows and to do the cuff here at the end of the sleeve, we're going to use these 3.5mm knitting needles. So to do this next row, row 45 and 46, we're just going to knit each one of these stitches like this, just like we've been doing. The only difference is that we're going to use these 3.5mm knitting needles. So like this. When you finish this row, turn, knit the first stitch end all the way to the end. So continue, and I'll meet you at the end of row 46 to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished making these 2 rows, row 45 and 46. So now for the next 7 rows, we're going to knit 1, purl 1 to make the cuff here at the end of the sleeve. So to do that, we're going to knit the first stitch like this. We're going to purl the next stitch, knit the next, purl the next, and so on. Continue like this all the way to the end of this row, and I will meet you there to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this first row of knit 1, purl 1. Now to finish, my stitch here was a knit, so the last one here I'm going to purl. And that's how we finish this row. Now from here on, you're just going to do the same thing. For each row, you're going to turn, and here you're going to do the opposite of what you did on the previous row. This last stitch was a purl. Now in this row, we're going to knit. And then all the knit stitches on the previous row, you're going to purl. And that's all you're going to do for 7 rows. So continue, finish this row, turn, and then again repeat the knit 1, purl 1, like I said, for 7 rows. I'll meet you once this part here is done to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished making my 7 rows of knit 1, purl 1. So now we're going to cast off our stitches. So to do that, this first stitch we're going to knit. The next one we're going to purl. Now the first stitch that we knit, we're going to bring it over the stitch that we purled, like this. So we just cast off the first stitch. Now the next stitch you're going to knit and bring this stitch over the stitch that you just knitted, like this. The next one you're going to purl, and same thing, bring this stitch over the stitch that you just purled. And that's all there is to casting off your stitches. So continue and finish this row, and then I'll meet you back to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished casting off all my stitches here, and that's what it looks like. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut our yarn, but we're going to leave a pretty long strand, about that much. I don't know, about 24 inches. So cut it here. Don't do what I did. I accidentally cut my yarn, not realizing that I was going to have to seam this part here. So I cut it too short. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to pass our yarn through this last loop. like this. And then we're going to seam. This is my knot here, that's why I shouldn't have cut it. But anyways, okay, so we just passed our yarn through that last loop, and this part here is done. Now we're going to seam this here, so we're going to do it from the right side, so don't turn it inside out. So pass your yarn through the needle like this, and here we're going to go under here like this, and I'm going to go here into this next stitch because I have that yarn there like this. So now it's closed. Now we're going to go here along the very edge, and we're going to pick up that little bar that's right where the stitch starts. So right here. I'll do it here on this side. And then go into the next stitch right there. And into the next stitch here. Into the next stitch here. And into the next stitch here. Right there. And one more. I think that's right there. And right there. Now, we're going to make sure that our rows correspond with one another. So I like to go through this knot. You can go through here, but I like to go through here, like this. That's why we knit every row, because for me it's easier to seam this part with that little knot here on the very edge, like this. Find the next one. And the next one here, and that's all. This is how we're going to close this part here, so continue, and I'll meet you right about here. There isn't anything special here to finish. We're just going to probably do this last one and then hide our ends, but I'll show you that next. So continue and do this part. Okay, I'm here at the end. I did my last stitch here. Like I said, there's nothing special here to close because all of your rows should really just line up. So I'm just going to insert my needle here on the inside. Just insert your needle here. And then we're just going to hide our ends. And this part here is done, and that's what it looks like. There it is. Now, what we're going to do here is along the sides here, we're going to make single crochets on both sides. So beginning here at the bottom with this 4mm crochet hook, I'm going to grab a loop with the same yarn like this, bring it through the front, chain one, and into the same stitch here, make your first single crochet. We're going to make single crochets here like this, and then we're going to go in between rows. See, right there, starting here. Let's see, we're going to go here. We're going to make single crochets just like this. And this is all I'm going to do all the way up to here. So I will meet you here, and then I will show you what we're going to do here for the yoke. Okay, I did 34 single crochets from here up to here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go here into this stitch. Let's see, this is a double crochet, so we're going to make 2 single crochets there. Then 2 single crochets into these 3 chains. 2 single crochets here. 2 single crochets here. And 2 single crochets here, 2, and then 1 and 1. Let's see, and the little row of chains, 1 single crochet. Okay, so let's see how many we have. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 single crochets. And that's what it should look like. Now we're going to go around the neckline. So here you're going to make 2 single crochets actually into this corner chain right there. And then we're going to continue around the neckline, just making single crochets like this. Okay, so continue like this all around. I'll meet you here at this other end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at this other end of the neckline. Here into this last stitch right there, I did 2 single crochets. Now here we're going to work the same number of stitches we did here on this side. Here we did 15 and then 34. So remember that. Yes. So 1 stitch there. I'm trying to hide this end here. So 1 and then 1 and then 2 here on each one of these stitches. Two right there, and 2. And now we're just going to continue and make 1 stitch here along the very edge. You can see it there, like this. So continue and I'll meet you right here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this other side. I finished making these single crochets. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. Here into the last single crochet, I'm going to make a single crochet, and then we're just going to work our way up, just making single crochets all the way around. When you come here to this end right here, right before you start the neckline, you're going to make 2 single crochets there as well, and then work single crochets around the neckline. I will meet you here right here on this other end, because here on this side we're going to make 2 buttonholes. So I'll meet you here to show you how we're going to do that. Okay, I'm here at the top of the neckline. I've actually just done this part here of single crochets. This is the second row. Here around the neckline, I'm only going to do slip stitches because I don't want this part here to be too wide. I did single crochets and I didn't like the way that it looked. So here, this is where we did 2 single crochets into that very corner stitch. So into the next, I'm going to work a slip stitch, just like this. A slip stitch into each one of the stitches. So continue like this all around the neckline. I will meet you here at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at this other end. This is where we did slip stitches around the collar. Now here into the stitch, I did 2 single crochets. So I went from making slip stitches to 2 single crochets into that stitch right there in the very corner. Now into the next stitch here, I'm going to make a single crochet. And I have stitch markers here placed. I'm only going to do 3 buttonholes. If you want to make buttonholes along this part here, you can do them in the same way. So into this next stitch, I have a stitch marker, so I'm going to chain 2, skip this single crochet, and into the next I'm going to make a single crochet. Now the buttons that I'm going to use are these wooden buttons, and they do fit through 2 chains. If you're using smaller buttons, just make sure that it fits through the 2 chains that we're making. If not, then only chain 1. Now here we're going to single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's see, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I have my next stitch marker, so that's 2 chains, skip the single crochet, and then again work 6 single crochets. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip the single crochet, chain 2, and into the next make a single crochet. Now from here, just continue and work single crochets all the way to the end. I will meet you here to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work slip stitches here along this part. So turn, don't chain, just turn here and into the same stitch here, make your first slip stitch like this. And then continue just making slip stitches all the way here to the top. Here where we did the 2 chains, you're just going to make 2 slip stitches by just going in and then slip stitch, go back in and then slip stitch all the way to the top. I will meet you here at this other end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the top. This is where we did slip stitches along this side. Now we're going to do the same thing along the neckline. We're just going to go through the front loop of the stitch. See right there along the very edge. That's where we're going to go in. So like this. Slip stitch, slip stitch, then slip stitch. Continue like this all around. Here you're just going to continue along. You're not going to make 2 single crochets or anything. Just continue along this part here and I'll meet you at the end right here to show you our finished baby cardigan. Okay, so here's my finished jacket. I went ahead and just finished here this last row. I did my last slip stitch here at the end, then just cut my yarn and pass my yarn through that last loop, and then just hit my ends here on this side. So my little jacket is done. I also went ahead and added the buttons. I had these flower buttons that I love the way that they look. I think they go very well with the jacket. Now these are the sleeves. There it is. Here's the other one. Now the back, this is the back, and this is the bottom. There it is. So now let me give you the measurements of the finished jacket. From the top of the neckline down to the end here, it's measuring 12.75 inches, which is about 32.5 centimeters. From the top of the neckline down to the end of the sleeve, it's measuring 11.5 inches, which is about 29 centimeters. Under the sleeve to the end of the sleeve, it's measuring 6 inches, which is about 15 centimeters, and around the waist, it's measuring 49.25 centimeters. So based on those measurements, I say that this little jacket is for a baby between 6 and 9 months. Now there's also a lot of stretch here with this stitch, so I said that it also could fit a baby between maybe 10 months or so, since it does stretch a lot. Okay, so this has been today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.